Most people believe recovery works through structure, discipline and control, that without rules and authority people fall back into addiction. But that's not what actually happens, because the same systems that claim to fix addiction often reproduce dependency in a different form, shifting control rather than restoring it, so something doesn't add up. If recovery is supposed to create freedom, why does it so often look like obedience? And if the model is wrong, what would real recovery actually look like? Drugs and Addiction, an Anarchist Perspective, Dickie Dredd. And this is part 56 in the video series, Chapter 7, Integration and Liberation. And this is the last part in this chapter, and we move on to Chapter 8. So, Section 58, The Anarchist Ethic of Integration, From Care to Courage. If addiction is the story of control, then recovery must be the story of freedom. The anarchist ethic of integration begins with this recognition that people do not heal through obedience, but through participation. As seen in the previous section, ecological balance depends on reciprocity, not restraint. The same applies to human systems. A clinic that dictates recovery reproduces the very dependency it claims to cure. Healing cannot be commanded. It must be co-created. Anarchist medicine rests on stewardship rather than authority. I describe it as care without command, the understanding that responsibility can be shared without hierarchy. In practice, this means the recovery circle, the cooperative workshop, the community kitchen, the rewilding project, all function as experiments in collective autonomy. Power flows horizontally. Decisions are made by consent. The act of caring becomes a rehearsal for democracy. This perspective transforms integration from a personal process into a political one. The body that reclaims agency models a society doing the same. Every individual who learns to self-regulate without domination demonstrates that order need not come from above. Foucault warned that modern power hides itself within care, the clinic, the classroom, the prison. Anarchist integration reverses this trend by making care visible, accountable and shared. It seeks not to replace the state with another institution, but dissolve the logic of supervision altogether. As Marte observes, compassion is not a policy, but a practice. It cannot be legislated, it must be lived. The addict who learns to hold their pain without punishment performs, in miniature, the social revolution that politics has yet to achieve. Every mutual aid group, needle exchange service and festival welfare tent becomes a fragment of the society that could be, one where interdependence is strength and vulnerability is not shame. These small laboratories of trust form what I call the commons of care, structures that grow precisely where bureaucracy withdraws. Integrates are being put off by another bloody plane going over. There's loads of them these days. Integration thus becomes an ethics of courage. To live freely whilst addicted is to risk social disapproval. To recover freely is to resist it. The same courage required to confront withdrawal is called upon to confront the system that criminalises pleasure and commodifies healing. In this sense, anarchist integration is not an escape from society, but an invitation to rebuild it. Every decentralised act of compassion erodes the foundations of control. Care becomes resistance. The forward path is not without tension. A world organised around hierarchy cannot easily accommodate horizontal healing. Governments fund coercive abstinence programmes whilst cutting community services. The media still divides users into deserving and deviant. Yet, as seen in earlier chapters, every form of stigma masks fear. Fear of freedom, fear of feeling, fear of those who refuse to conform. The integrated individual challenges that fear simply by existing. Chapter 8 turns to this question directly. How language, propaganda and moral panic sustain the architecture of addiction. The battle over drugs is, in truth, a battle over meaning. Who defines sanity? Who decides normality? Who profits from fear? Having traced addiction from trauma to ecology, we now confront its social disguise, the politics of stigma. The next chapter asks whether a society built on shame can ever truly recover, and whether the courage to heal might finally become the courage to speak. So recovery was never about control. It's about whether a person can reclaim agency without needing to be managed. And that changes everything, because it means systems built on authority may stabilise behaviour, but they don't necessarily create freedom. So if recovery isn't about obedience, why are so many systems built around it? And if we've mistaken control for care, what else have we misunderstood about addiction? Because once that question opens, it doesn't stop at drugs. It leads straight into how society defines normality itself. So next up, we'll finally get to chapter 8, which is propaganda, fear and the myth of the addict. And we'll go to section 59, the language of blame.